I'm really thrilled to be a part of India's journey to become a 5 trillion economy. Collected 75,000 liters of water in just 2 days.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I am Rajesh Joshi, and today we are truly honored to have with us a dynamic professional whose career journey spans industries from service industry to banking, digital marketing to brand partnerships, and even content creation. With over 20 years of exceptional experience, Nivedita Garg Bhanushali has consistently demonstrated an impressive blend of strategic leadership, creative innovation, and business acumen. Having worked in diverse roles across renowned organizations, including FedEx, Rediffusion, and now as a business strategy consultant, Nivedita has not only shaped global brands but also has crafted impactful award winning campaigns and forged high profile alliances with Bollywood, Formula One, and global sponsorships. Her ability to combine her expertise in marketing, public relations, and community engagement with a strong commitment to social responsibility has earned her accolades such as the Purple Promise Quality Award and the esteemed 5-Star Award. Additionally, as the creator, producer, and host of the Life Down Up talk show, Nivedita has given a voice to individuals with extraordinary personal stories, further showcasing her versatility as a leader. Thank you for being here, Nivedita, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders. Your presence today is much appreciated.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you for a very warm welcome and thank you for very flattering words and summing up my experience of 2 decades in a very wonderful fashion. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the World Directors Institute for giving me the platform for sharing my experience, my story with a larger set of audience. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity, and I really look forward to speaking with you.
Great. The pleasure is all ours, ma'am. It is such a pleasure to have you with us today. You've had an incredible career that spans multiple industries and regions from rediffusion, DY&R to FedEx, and now as a business strategy consultant. It must have been an amazing journey filled with unique moments. Could you take us back to the beginning and share some of the key turning points or experiences that really shaped your career? What were the moments or decisions that set you on the current path?
Thank you, Rajesh, for the question. Foundation of my learning and my career is actually, uh, the fact that I started my own business or my own setup at the age of 18.
Wow.
Uh, and during my summer vacation, I took a fashion designing course. I come from a very creative family. Everybody is into art, and uh, my brother is an architect. My mother was an art teacher. So I also kind of got into this creative endeavor, and following that, I started freelancing for family and friends, and uh, and that encouraged me to actually do a fashion show. And this was way back in 90s when people didn't do shows. Fashion shows was a very unique concept. And you know how you're young and raging to take risks. With the investors' support, I did showcase my collection. I managed to get sponsorship from big brands like Thumbs Up at that time, and I had Archana Joglekar, who was the chief guest for the show, and the show itself was wonderful. But what was the turning point was that after the show, because I had this investor who had invested in the collection. After the
Mhm.
show, unlike what I thought that you do a fashion show and then people see your designs and then they buy it, That
Mm-hmm.
didn't happen, obviously.
Uh-huh.
And I was, I didn't want my family to pay for it. So, I figured, a solution to showcase my designs. I
Mm-hmm.
approached various boutiques, and one fabric shop owner told me that, he can give me his mezzanine space, and he had some spare machines. That's
Okay.
when I started my first boutique. We moved to a larger space. I had 8 artisans working for me, and I managed to run my business alongside my Bachelor of Arts in Economics.
Okay.
So, in that sense, it gave me a lot of learning, a practical learning. And on my father's advice, I pursued MBA. And that MBA was so much fun because I already had like a first-hand experience of business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Following that, when I was still studying my MBA, I don't know how, but I got contacted by Rediffusion, which was among the top 5 agencies at that
Yes.
time, and advertising agencies were really, really big. They contacted me and, and they said, would you like to work with us, which was really amazing because I've just not
Wow.
even finished my MBA. And I thought, yeah, why not? I mean, I would, they wanted me to work in their events and PR division. I joined them and I really enjoyed crafting brand messages and communication
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
strategies. And FedEx was my first client.
Okay.
And
Okay.
while we were pitching for FedEx, my only boss, she was a foreigner actually, she was from the US.
Mm-hmm.
She went back to the US and I was, left alone. But we had pitched for FedEx and it was my idea. And the client had enough faith in me, and she said, why don't you just go ahead and do the event and the communication strategy, so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. And that's how, my first event with FedEx happened. So, and as destiny would have it, my client who really gave me that opportunity and had faith in me, she decided to move to another country, and she asked me to apply for her position. It
Okay.
seemed like an unusual transition at that point, but then I thought Fortune 500 company, we're going to deal with a lot of garment fashion exporters, and if I really want to go and do something of my own, this is a company I would like to learn. I would like to gain from, their reach in international markets and, learn business acumen from there. And that's how my journey with FedEx started.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
in fact, when I joined FedEx, it was a small team of 100 people. And when I left 17 and a half years later, it speaks volumes about the company's culture, actually. 17 and a half years later, there were 6,000 people, in the company. And I had grown almost 6 to 7 levels before I resigned.
Wow. 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 Is absolutely fascinating. I mean, one is the stroke of luck, or obviously your qualities or your work that you may have put up there, because of which you got a chance to work with Rediffusion, and the very fact that in across 17 years you not just continued to work there, you grew, and I'm 100% sure you must have handled a lot of other responsibilities, which we will obviously discuss during the course of this podcast. It is really fascinating how that decision played a pivotal role in shaping your career path. Ma'am, you've had such an incredible journey in shaping brand identities, especially on a global stage. From your time at FedEx, where you managed communications across diverse regions and cultures, to the creative partnerships you've been forging in Bollywood and beyond, it's clear you've mastered the art of crafting a brand story that resonates universally. But beyond the creative side, brand management involves a lot of strategic decisions and leadership. I'm curious, how did your experience influence your approach to brand management across international markets?
In fact, Rajesh, this is by far my favorite question. In fact, it's a very good question. And in fact, it is even more relevant in today's globalized world. Brand is the biggest asset of a company, even on the balance sheet. If we see the value of a brand, for example, a car without the BMW logo will not hold the same value that it holds with the BMW logo. You know,
Right.
so, and it's brand, like you very rightly said, is not about aesthetics or creative. It is what shapes a business's identity. It becomes the foundation for businesses to have a differentiation in the market and build trust with their customers. So, in my opinion, uh, it's something that you really have to hone and really carefully craft it, build it, and take it forward. In my
Absolutely.
experience, there are four key things from a brand management point of view.
Mm-hmm.
The first is be authentic to your core values. Just like people, just like human beings, every company has its own core values. And it's so important when we communicate from the brand's point of view that we are authentic to the core values. Uh, Stay relevant to the markets you operate in. So you may be operating in India, you may be operating in United States of America, for example. Uh, you have to make sure you're relevant in both the markets at the same time, even though
Right.
your consumer and their cultural preferences are different. The third thing is, which builds trust and which goes a long way is transparency in communication. In today's world where you have social media, you have Twitter, you have people or any person who can just take a video of the way your employees are behaving with the customer or the way they are treating their product or services, and it can go viral. So it's so important that you stay transparent with your communication. Even in tough times, you own that up and you look at it as an opportunity to grow. The fourth most important point is to stay consistent across every touch point. We used to call it as moments of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And in FedEx, we believe that you're only as good as your last transaction. So while I may have delivered 99 packages on time, but that one crucial package, crucial for my customer, I delayed it. And the
Right.
customer
Right.
will remember that, customer will not remember the 99 times that I
Absolutely.
delivered it on the time. So we
Absolutely.
have to make sure that, whether your frontline is communicating, whether it's the web or the social media, where we are consistent and from a service point of view, from a message point of view, and from the action point of view. So these are like the four key areas. In my role with FedEx, I was the brand advisor for Europe, Middle East, and Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I have launched campaign across 21 countries.
Wow.
And one of the many learnings that I have from this is to keep my personal and social biases at home. So when I'm
Mm-hmm.
dealing with teams across the world, I have to make sure that I respect their differences in their personal, professional, political choices that they make. I have to keep that aside and focus on how together we can have a shared vision and deliver for the brand. It's very important. There are certain universal human values. Doesn't matter which country you come from. It's very important that your team, who you're working with, feels feels heard, feels engaged with you. So, for example, very strong emphasis on planning, on making sure that before we start a project, there's certain amount of brainstorming. There are inputs taken from all stakeholders, including agencies who know the culture very well. Uh, and then you follow it up with scientific testing when it comes to imagery or any kind of communication. Just for an example, a penguin can be humorous image in India, but it evokes seriousness in France. Or, for example, fart candy is a Polish candy. It means a lucky candy bar. Uh, can have different connotations outside of Poland. In fact,
Absolutely.
a lot of brands even change their brand names or go by different names in different markets. So if you're buying Lay's in the UK, it goes by Walker's, or if it is in a Middle Eastern country, the brand name is different. So you have to make sure that you get the team feel engaged, their inputs taken, and also craft a message that consider the culture, the cultural background, the social background, and the timing of your communication, including the medium. So these are few of my basic learnings that I believe go a long way in building your brand, consistently over a
Absolutely.
period of time.
Absolutely, absolutely incredible, ma'am, and very nicely put. I mean, the importance of the consistency of brand communication, of getting each one, every single team member to align with the brand communication and the consistency of the touch points, and at the same time working as a team and being culturally sensitive, especially if you're operating in a very diverse, geographically diverse kind of a market scenario. That's absolutely phenomenal that what you put out.
The brand can be in different stages in different markets.
Oh
For
yes.
example, FedEx is a very known and the number one brand in the US. But there can be markets across the world where it's not even known as a brand as strongly, or is not as popular as is in the US. So you have to consider these things, and while you're crafting your strategy.
Absolutely, absolutely right. Spot on, ma'am. What you're saying. Continuing with the same question, you were involved in a crucial business model transition at FedEx, moving from Blue Dart to a new business model. What were some of the most difficult hurdles you had to clear, and how did you navigate them?
Apart from just a transition to a new business model, in my span of 17 and a half years with FedEx, I experienced or I managed acquisitions from a marketing strategy point of view.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We acquired, FedEx acquired two Indian brands apart from, transitioning to a new business model. To begin with, your first question, when we were moving from our existing current business model, in which we had an alliance with Blue Dart, who was our official selling partner in India. And
Okay,
FedEx wanted to launch all the products and services in India under its own brand name.
okay.
And Blue Dart, in its own right, was a very established and a very respected brand already in India. So there was no other way but to amicably part ways.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were working on service continuity and future plans and identifying the first mile to the last mile transition, our alliance partner prematurely announced their new alliance with our competitor,
Oh,
and it created confusion, to say the least, with stakeholders, employees, vendors. And what we had to do was, uh, we had to prepone and prepone our messaging and marketing strategy, almost
mhm.
like crash
Right,
them
right, right,
into
right,
from 1 month to 1 day,
right.
actually. And because we didn't want to compromise. FedEx didn't want to compromise. Like I mentioned earlier, it's so important to stay consistent and authentic. It was a very positive development from the brand side, and we didn't want it to look like we're not prepared, or this move is not the right move. So we hosted a press conference and we launched our campaign exactly the way we had planned,
Mm-hmm.
really ahead of time. And what we did, we utilized that platform to thank every single Blue Dart employee who played a role in growing the FedEx brand. To me,
Wow, wow, wow. Master
that
stroke.
was
Okay.
such a wonderful um, gesture, and even till date, I believe it's FedEx, a brand like FedEx can do it, and a
Mhm.
very genuine thank you, and that converted the crisis into an opportunity, and it kind of changed the perception of the brand to a more positive. I won't say changed, but evolved the perception of a brand to a more humane, positive brand.
Wow,
It's,
wow, wow.
that's yeah, that's the answer to the first question you had. From my experience in acquisitions, mergers, or new business model, there are three critical areas in my experience that play a very big role. The first is people, it's so important to make sure the cultures are amalgamated very well. People feel welcomed, they feel engaged. And it's so important to make sure that we keep them communicated, keep their morale high in tough times, make them feel secure, because a lot of them might even feel insecure about their jobs or their growth in the company. Make them feel secure, reinforce, collaboration, shared vision, and involve them. And in FedEx, they used to call it purpling the culture.
Mhm.
So again, you see the brand color was orange and purple, so
Right,
purpling
right.
the culture. The second point is technology, and in fact, even more so today in digitized world, when we are merging two technologies, it can cause disruptions, or you can have external attacks, or there are many possibilities. When it comes to merging technologies, bringing
Right,
technologies
right.
together. So it is so important to make sure that you have the whole crisis procedure outlined. Even before you start planning the transition from one technology to the other, or merging the technology, or bringing the new technology. It's important that people are trained. They're able to answer issues. It's important that customers are communicated of any outages that are likely as a result of the merging of technology, and especially for system-driven companies, even including banks, where data confidentiality is extremely critical as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's the second part of it, and the third part of it is service continuity. So making sure that there is no revenue loss. So even when you are acquiring the customers from another brand, will they enjoy the same services that they had before? Will they have to pay more, or will there be disruptions to their services? How is it going to work for them in long term? These are the questions your customers may have, and if we are not addressing it ahead of time, there's a risk of losing a lot of revenue. And the whole purpose of acquisition merger is to grow, right, from a revenue point of view,
Absolutely,
from a
absolutely.
business expansion point of view. So these are like, in my mind, three critical areas one should consider when we're into acquisitions or moving to a new business model.
Great, great. So, if I have to sum it up, I believe you have achieved the unthinkable, which is changing the tires of a moving car while it is at full speed. Now, that's incredible. And
Yeah, nicely.
and that's truly an achievement. But it does
Thank
sound
you.
like such a critical turning point. Switching from a well established model to something new must have been overwhelming, also. It's inspiring to hear how you managed to keep the vision clear for the team and navigate through those challenges. Uh, Moving on to the next question, your role in establishing a revenue sharing alliance with MX Player for your show, Life Down Up, was groundbreaking. What motivated you to take that leap into content production, and how did you scale it successfully?
After being with FedEx for 17 and a half years, and I was just a young mother at the same time, and I
Mhm.
decided to focus on the family. I took a sabbatical. But once a marketeer, always a marketeer, and I was seeing that marketing from the time I had joined to where It was at that particular stage, we could see content just becoming the hero, the king, and digitization of communication. And I just found an opportunity, and because this digitization also empowered a lot of people. So you could have ordinary people who become influencers, and or could share their stories, their experience, their talent with the world without really having to invest too much. And
Right.
I always was a Oprah Winfrey fan. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought, while I'm at home and from my home, why don't I do stories of, and in my career journey, I've met such wonderful people. Why
Mm-hmm.
don't I do a series where I cover ordinary people with extraordinary journeys?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, if life and work is not a race, because everybody has a different starting point.
Right.
And these people, in the face of adversity, have triumphed using courage, resilience, perseverance. And I thought that it was a story that I can share. It's the right time to share it with a larger audience. And it was initially intended to be a YouTube channel, and I had friends in the industry who actually
Mm-hmm.
helped me elevated it to be a very high production value three camera setup. I
Okay.
had friends, who had done art direction for Bajirao Mastani,
Uh-huh.
and they won the national award for it. And they are my friends, and they told me, Nivedita, we'll help you do your setup. I said it's really very small for you. I mean, it's just peanuts, and they did it with same what do you say enthusiasm that they would do a big Bollywood set, and suddenly the production quality of the show became much more than just being a personal,
Right. Right.
storytelling on YouTube to something that a bigger channel can take. And I had worked with Times of India a lot through my entire career, and I
Mm-hmm.
approached MX Player. I showed them the first episode, the first cut edit of the episode, and they kind of liked it, and the rest is history, and it didn't just stay for 1 year. They kept renewing the contract. In fact, it went as a package deal also to a lot of their customers. I kept
Uh-huh.
renewing it for good 3 years or 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. What an incredible leap. I mean, it takes real vision and courage to take an idea and turn it into something tangible, especially in the world of content creation. It sounds like it was a journey full of surprises, something straight out of a fiction novel, if I say so.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed.
I'm sure you are. Ma'am,
Yeah.
with your diverse experience across brand management, content production, and strategic partnerships, you've clearly demonstrated an ability to drive impactful change and create lasting value. Looking ahead as you continue to build on your impressive career, what are the bigger goals or milestones you aim to achieve next? And how do you see your skills and experiences playing a role in shaping the future of organizations, particularly at the leadership and boardroom levels?
Uh, Let me put it this way. I'm always driven by passion, and right now it is the best time to be in India.
Uh-huh,
India is
uh-huh.
amongst the fastest growing economies in the world. Exceeded everybody's expectations on the growth numbers. Grew by 8% last year, last financial year. It's expected to grow by 7.2, which is amazing trajectory considering other major economies in the world or growing economies in the world. And India
Absolutely.
has a unique advantage of speed, scale, and a very ambitious young population. Having said that, I think, and I'm such an advocate of brand management and brand governance. I want to be playing. I'm really thrilled to be a part of India's journey to become a 5 trillion economy, and
Mm-hmm.
also see a Indian brand amongst the top 10 most valued brands in the world,
Oh, yeah.
alongside Google, Amazon, Apple. And I think India can achieve this feat completely, through great corporate governance, through innovation in technology. I mean, we're the hub for innovators, and through great brand stewardship. So the way I see the value that I can add uh, in uh, in the boardroom or to the companies that I work with is to build, stronger framework and not only just compete at a global level, but set a
Mm-hmm.
benchmark
Mm-hmm.
for corporate governance and brand governance, which I think is really, really important given that it is the identity of the business, like I mentioned earlier.
Right.
So, and I just want the companies I work with to be future ready, with brand innovation and people. These are the few ingredients that help us to be future ready.
Right.
So that's my vision, and that's the value I think I can add.
Wow, it does sound like you're already thinking at the level of strategic decision making that boards have to face on a day-to-day basis. Absolutely superb. So moving on, ma'am, having led community outreach campaigns such as the water donation initiative in Maharashtra, how do you integrate social responsibility into your business strategies?
Yeah, so community relation activity or social responsibility, like we call it, or what you called it in your question, should be integrated with companies' mission and core values. And it is something that we see enables to build trust, and trust is the biggest currency when it comes for, stakeholder investing, shareholder investing, community buying your products, so on and so forth. So uh, water campaign was a campaign which was very close to my heart, and it was really unique, where we asked general people
Mhm,
to
mhm.
donate bottled water,
Okay,
and it can be one single bottle. And it was a drive that we said that you can donate that water at any of the FedEx retail outlets. Now we
okay.
are a service. FedEx is a service company. Didn't doesn't need a very vast retail presence. So we had a decent retail presence, and this campaign was for drought affected villages in Maharashtra.
Mhm, mhm,
uh, and it was the campaign was live for 2 or 3 days. The response was amazing.
mhm,
It was just we had distillery who came out and said that anyone who's donating for that campaign, we give a 50% discount on the purchase of the
okay.
bottled drinking water. And
Wow.
I remember our hub looking like a distillery plant.
Mhm.
Yeah, Rajesh, you won't believe we collected 75,000 liters of water in just 2 days.
Wow. Wow.
And while we were planning to deliver this water and we wanted to make sure, the reason why it was bottled water, we wanted to make sure that people have access to clean drinking water.
Right.
We
Right.
leveraged our supply chain and our transportation services,
Mhm, mhm,
and that's where the integration happened to deliver it in really smaller villages in Maharashtra. We were planning to deliver them in 4 villages. That was
mhm.
the plan. But because we got such a great response, and 75,000 liters, we managed to deliver water to 12 villages.
Wow.
And
Amazing.
we didn't proactively reach out to the media, but we had very popular celebrities like Shekhar Kapoor. There were media journalists who were writing that this is something that the government should have done and FedEx has done. It made the employees feel so proud for the fact that they work with FedEx, because they got an opportunity to volunteer, visit those villages, and actually hand over the water to them. So it's something that I will remember my entire life, and I'm sure everyone who participated in that campaign or that program will remember it. So what is important from a business point of view is that you may be a global brand, but you want to demonstrate that you understand the local issues, you care for the local issues, and therefore build resonance for your brand, build trust for your brand, and you don't look like a external or a third party or a foreign company in my market who doesn't understand me. So
Right.
it's so important to show that you care for the communities you operate in, and it builds a win-win situation with customers, with uh, employees, and with your stakeholders. Apart, I mean, just to give you an example, apart from the water campaign, we did one campaign with child rights and youth.
Mm-hmm.
We worked with children of not so good families, or possibly their parents in professions that are not very well
Mm-hmm.
respected. And we
Mm-hmm.
put together a play. It was directed by Pallavi Joshi,
Mm-hmm.
and we invited our customers to watch the play. Apart from the fact that the children who participated in the play grew in confidence multiple folds. It was not
Right.
a donation we made.
I
It
know, I
was
know. I
time,
understand.
effort we invested. Those children are still in touch with me today. They are engineers, teachers, and what was like a small school in that area has now expanded into something big. So even the customers was so touched by it that they kept reaching out to us and saying that next time if you do something like that with children and kids, we would like to participate, we would
Wow.
like to work with you. And something that every time I interacted with my customers, they remembered it. So it created an impact, positive impact in the community. It created an impact within the customers. They became more loyal to the brand. You build relationships with the brand, and it is a win for the stakeholder because it upholds your integrity. And that's why the word is called responsibility.
Right,
It's not
right.
something I have to do. It's something as a responsible global citizen of the world, as a responsible global company or a national company or any business. It always comes back many folds when you give to the community.
Wow, phenomenal. You've clearly shown that being a responsible business leader goes hand in hand with driving business growth. It is not just about profits. It is about building a business that serves both people and the planet. And what better an example than what you've just shared, ma'am? Ma'am, as a leader who has made significant strides in various industries, we know you understand the importance of continuous learning, which you've been mentioning for quite some time now. How has your ongoing experience with Directors Institute been shaping your leadership approach? And how do you feel the courses and interactions are enhancing your strategic vision as you continue to evolve in your career?
I think doing the course with World Directors interview is going to be one of the major turning points, which I guess I will share in some other interview someday, probably on television or news when you see me, and I'm
Oh,
probably
yeah.
going to mention that as a turning point because it gave me wings. If I were to say, it gave wings to my dream, to my passion. What I like about the course is it's factual. It gives you a very good understanding of the Companies Act, corporate governance, the key sections. So while it gives you all the facts, it also gives you a lot of practical case studies that are relevant. Going back to what I said, that you have to be relevant case studies, boardroom simulations, and coupled with live sessions. And
Right.
the course is so easy to understand, even for a professional, like me, who doesn't have a very solid understanding of finance or balance sheet. When I was going through the courses, it's so wonderfully explained the concepts in a very simple, fashion in smaller modules, and and see, it's also giving me a platform to share my journey, share my learning. So it's been wonderful with World Directors Institute. It's something that I have already recommended to a lot of people I know, and I will continue to recommend it to anyone who wishes to play a role at the boardroom level or at the leadership level, or if they want to start their entrepreneurial journey, because
Right. Right.
it tells you step by step ways of forming a company, examples of great corporate governance. What is the difference between good to great? So if your career is good and you want to make it great, then World Directors Institute is the way to go.
It's wonderful to hear how you have leveraged your experience with Directors Institute to further sharpen your leadership and strategic approach. Your candid insights are deeply appreciated, ma'am. Thank you once again for joining us and sharing your remarkable journey with us today. It is inspiring to hear how you have combined creativity, strategy, and social responsibility to make such a lasting impact in your career. We at Directors Institute wish you continued success and all the very best as you continue to shape the future with your vision and leadership.
Thank you, Rajesh, and a big thank you to the team members at the World Directors Institute. Thank you. It was a
Thank,
pleasure and an
thank you,
honor.
ma'am. The pleasure was all ours. That wraps up
And
today's episode. We hope you found Nivedita's journey as inspiring as we did. And we look forward to bringing you more stories and insights from other exceptional leaders in our upcoming episodes. Until next time, keep pursuing excellence, stay curious, and remember to make an impact wherever you go. Take care and keep shining in your own journey. This is Rajesh Joshi signing off. Thank you.
thank you.